for America
on KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Good morning, Las Vegas. What's going on? Welcome to the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, the place where the screams of Mercedes Moné are still echoing through New Jersey, and a little celebration for my good buddy, my pal, mi amigo, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Oh my, what a night at AEW World's End yesterday. Boy, you know, just when WWE tries to steal the spotlight, there's an AEW pay-per-view, and everybody for a while remembers, oh yeah, they're pretty darn good over there too. And I got to tell you, great pay-per-view last night. The couple matches maybe we could have possibly done on TV, but otherwise, man, I'll tell you what, great show, and a terrific setup for 2026 too, man. We're going to talk about what's coming later on in the show, because it is going to be one of the most fascinating years in this industry I think we've ever seen. I really do. Don't want to dig too deep yet, but we're going to have a long chat about that. Unfortunately, I'm hoping I talked Phil Stamper into coming in, but apparently he's got some throat issues now too, so concussed, and oh man, that dude's a mess. So right now you got a little old me, and we'll get you through 2 hours of the best in pro wrestling. And just want to remind you, thanks for listening to us on KDAWN. You can also listen to us on the Odyssey app. Don't forget to get that app, guys. If you don't have it, AUDACY, download the app right now, and you're going to be so happy you did. It's going to be like, giving candy to a little kid. You just put that lollipop in their hand and just take a big lick, and you'll be like, yeah, I got the Odyssey app. So go get that right now. We are also streaming on X, YouTube, and Facebook. So if you want to interact with the show, great place to do it. X is at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook and YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show. And come on in. The water's fine. So we got a lot to talk about today. So get ready for 2 hours of some great pro wrestling coverage here on KDAWN. All right. Let's talk about everything that went on this week with AEW, because we did have World's End yesterday, but there was some setup this week on Collision, and a great Collision show too. Boy, I'll tell you, AEW is just putting on some great wrestling, fantastic wrestling. And I know that there's so many people who are WWE is better. There's differences. And yes, are there some kind of crazy things they do in AEW? Yes, absolutely. And you know what? That's okay. You're allowed. We're allowed to have a little fun in our pro wrestling. It's allowed to get a little nasty. But, at least they're swinging for the fences and not going B+. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But on Collision, we wrapped up the Continental Classic leagues to see who was going into the semifinals here at World's End. Well, we bit the dust on that Claudio Castagnoli prediction last week, didn't we? And I can't believe, as someone who's been following wrestling as long as I have, we're talking 40 years plus, that I didn't see it coming that Roderick Strong, who hadn't won a match yet in the Continental Classic, was going to upset Claudio, get his one win, and knock him out of the semis. I feel so stupid when I look at that. I'm looking at the chart right now, and I'm just seeing Roderick Strong 3, and I'm like, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? So Mox gets his win. Takeshita stays on a roll. Kensuke Takeshita and John Moxley advance out of the group. In the Gold League, well, Kyle Fletcher takes another hit, but he had 9 points already. He moves on, and Okada gets his win. He moves on. We had a bunch of guys all sitting at 6 points. Everybody was at 6 points. And we figured there was going to be a draw in there somewhere, and that draw went between Kevin Knight and Pac. So they both miss out, so we don't get a playoff or anything. Jungle Jack Perry and Speedball Mike Bailey both end up with 2 wins. And I will say before we kind of advance this, that Tony did a really nice job just setting this tournament up so that no one looked bad. I think last year Mark Briscoe didn't win a match or something like that, and he just kind of had or Jay Lethal once, and it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. For somebody to get a 0 or someone to not come out of this looking at least half decent, but everybody did. Takeshita, great run. Mox gets through. Claudio still gets 3 wins out of it, 2 wins and a draw out of this thing, and beat Moxley. So that is going to be setting up stuff with the Death Riders. We all know that. Cassidy gets a couple wins. Mascara Dorada gets a couple wins. Roddy gets the big win at the end. So nice job on the Blue League. And then, like I said, everybody was in a dead heat in the Gold League going into all their last matches. And we get Fletcher and Okada through, and Knight and Pac get the draws. And of course, if you remember at the beginning, we had Darby Allin in this, but Darby got hurt and could not compete. So Jack Perry stepped in. But Knight, the youngster, what a great run for him. He gets a win over Okada, which is huge. I mean, this is the Rainmaker, baby. And Kevin Knight beats him. He gets a win on Jack Perry, gets a draw with Pac, and that's better than what you would expect from a younger guy. So nice setup for Kevin Knight. People are going to be looking at him. Pac gets out of there, still with 7 points, and Mike Bailey got a couple of big wins in this tournament too. Everybody came out with a little something. So very well set up on the Continental Classic. Well, then we get to last night. So you cross over first place, second, and wrestle second in each group. So we get Mox and Fletcher. Now, that was the second one last night, second match last night. Mox knocks out Fletcher, chokes him out. So Kyle Fletcher is out, and John Moxley, who, I think people weren't sure where he was going to end up on this whole thing. All of a sudden, he ends up in the final. Hey, what's up, John? Left for dead after he lost to Claudio. Whoop, there he is. Moxley gets a tooth split in half in the first match. He's got to wrestle again. The winners are wrestling again on the later in the card. Mox has a split tooth. Go take one of your teeth and crack it in half, and then go out and try and wrestle a match. God, Mox is one tough son of a gun. Amazing guy. On the other side, the match that opened the card, and people were so hot for this because this has been a great build in the middle of the Don Callis family. And Don decided not to show himself. Okada beats Takeshita with a screwdriver. And a little shaky on the end. Ref probably should have saw that. But Okada heads to the finals against Moxley. And we said this thing was going to be very unpredictable, and I think a lot of people thought Takeshita was going to get this win, but now all they did was just build this story even more. Good work. Good work. And we'll talk about the final of this Continental Classic a little bit later on as we buzz down through the World's End card. So we had those two to open things up last night. And now we also did have the pre-show, by the way. Don't want to discount that. Sisters of Sin beat Hyan and Maya World, and we're going to talk about those two. Because boy, did they take advantage of an opportunity. Oh, my goodness. Eddie Kingston beats Zach Gibson from the Grizzled Young Veterans. The veterans try to beat up Eddie Kingston, and lo and behold, Ortiz is back. Yes, that's right. The other half of Proud and Powerful. Of course, Mike Santana went to TNA and won the world championship over there and quickly lost it. But Ortiz is back and is hanging out with Eddie Kingston. Oh, good God. Guys, these are people that are on the opening. Kingston won this Continental Classic a couple of years ago. What a depth of talent. Mascara Dorada and Bandito beat Mark Davis and Rocky Romero. Not a big deal there. Had an 8-man tag match. A little bit of fun with Jet Speed and Jurassic Express taking on Josh Alexander and the Demand. That is Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona. Of course, a lot of people here in Vegas very familiar with Khan and Leona. Jet Speed and Jurassic Express get the win on that one. The card then officially opened, like I said, with Okada and then Mox getting their victories. FTR and holds on to the AEW World Tag Team titles in a Chicago street fight with the Bang Bang Gang. This version was Juice Robinson and Austin Gunn. And once again, we're kind of waiting for Jay White to get back, but these guys, the Guns and Juice Robinson, just so underrated. They just go out and wrestle great matches. You put them in with FTR, they haven't teamed very much. No problem. It's all good. FTR gets a nice win there as they, we talked about some of the best tag teams of all time last week, and FTR is definitely up there. And they've won championships everywhere they've been. But a huge night for FTR, and we'll see what the future is going to hold for those guys. Babes of Wrath beat Mercedes Moné and Athena. Moné eats the pinfall, and she's eating a lot of those lately. She's lost a couple of those titles. And unbelievable. I'm telling you guys, if you want to see someone absolutely lose their mind, Mercedes, she went back to, they did a little backstage promo, and as she went back, she walked past the interviewer, walked past Lexi, and goes back in her dressing room and just starts smashing stuff, and they scream Primo. And folks, she's only lost a couple of those 13 championships. There's more coming. She came out after the scream and can't say what she said on the air about Willow Nightingale, but they're going to be wrestling next week. So our TBS champion, along with a bunch of others that she's still got, will be facing off next week. How many matches in a row is Mercedes going to lose? I'm going to say it's a lot. It's going to be a lot. But Harley Cameron and Will Nightingale get out of there. And two, the most fun, happy people in AEW had some fun at the press conference last night. So the Babes of Wrath hold on there. We got Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd beating each other up. I don't know if we needed that one, really. But, hey, it's all right. You get to see Darby and Gabe. It's all good. And then, we're going to talk about this when we come back. I can't do this justice before our commercial break. But the mixed nuts match. Oh boy. You make me feel like dancing. Oh. Unbelievable. Stick around. We've got a whole lot more of pro wrestling news. It's the best pro wrestling right here on the Mark Hoke Show on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. We will be right back.
host, Mark Hoke.
All right, let's get back to it. Best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. Took a little walk outside the ring, a.k.a. or a la Larry Zbyszko. And we are back in action. Putting the head in the ropes. Ducking and dodging. Not getting hit by a roll of nickels. If you remember that one. Well, anyway. Well, we have continued our discussion about AEW World's End last night. The final pay-per-view of the year for AEW and for everybody, really. Because there's only a couple of days left. We had a Mixed Nuts Mayhem match. Well, for those of you out there that may not be involved in pro wrestling that match, you might be saying to yourself, what the hell is a Mixed Nuts Mayhem match? Well, Tony Storm and Mox kind of got into an argument. Well, he made a, and just the way Tony talks, if you follow Tony Storm at all, she kind of takes things into, shall we say, a sexual tone quite a bit. So we made a Mixed Nuts match. We've got men and women in this one. Anything goes. And Tony Storm, Roderick Strong, and the conglomeration with Mark Briscoe and Orange Cassidy defeat the Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, and Marina Shafir. So congratulations on the first Mixed Nuts match victory. But there was some, I'm sorry about that. There is some fun stuff that happened in this one. I mean, people are going to say, oh man, that's not wrestling. Look, you can have some fun comedy stuff in there, and it's okay. It's high tension all night. I mean, we're talking at this point, the fans that are there have already gone through 9 matches and some pretty heavy stuff. You got the 2 Continental Classic semis. You got a Chicago street fight. Darby and Gabe Kidd might as well have been a Chicago street fight. No, it's a lot. It's a lot. So when Tony Storm decides to do a little tornado DDT on Claudio, she decides to just start dancing with Orange Cassidy in the middle of the ring and executing a few maneuvers while they were at it. Marina Shafir. And here's the pop of the match. Here's the pop of the match. So Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir are on separate teams. They're married, if you don't know that. And there have been little interactions here and there between Roddy and his amazing wife, who I think is just unbelievable. And what a great job she has done in rebuilding herself and rebranding herself in AEW. They had a face-to-face showdown. They're just standing there looking at each other in the middle of the ring, and the crowd is going nuts. I don't know what they were expecting. Come on. You're not going to beat up your wife and, have all that stuff go down, are you? Well, they're staring each other down, and then Marina just kicks him. Just nailed him. And Marina's a former martial artist, so she knows how to kick. Whammo. And Roddy's down. Crowd loving every second of it. But this was a lot of fun. It really was. And but I gotta say this though. Are they actually gonna set up a Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir match? And what a contrast to WWE, who has just gone the straight, here's our couple. We got Becky Lynch and we got Seth Rollins. We're going to team them. And they're going to team up against AJ Lee and CM Punk, who are married. Let's have a little conflict, man. That's real. He's got to be looking over at her and saying, sweetie, love you, babe. What do you do with these guys? I mean, don't make me the master of the backbreaker. And I'm not talking about what goes on in the bedroom. Don't push it. She pushed it. Could we possibly be getting a match between Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir? I'm down. I mean, just for the comedic value of it. Something different. But way to go, Tony and the team. We get Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's World Championship. And I don't know, you guys out in Chicago, look, I know it's hard. We're at match 11 of the night. And that's a tough spot because coming up is the Continental Classic Championship and the world title match. That's a rough place to be on the card. But come on, Chris and Jamie were great last night. They were fantastic. And you guys sat on your hands for a lot of the match. Shame on you. I bet if it was AJ Lee, you guys would have been going crazy. Stop it. But Chris Statlander successfully defends her AEW Women's World Championship. So they're serious about Chris getting a good run with this belt. I mean, she is beating people right and left that are pretty good. So nice job by Chris Statlander as she ends up holding on to the AEW Women's World Championship. We then get Mox and Okada. And given everything that has been going on with the Death Riders, and they're kind of looking at him a little funny at times, you thought there might be some shenanigans. You thought, well, maybe Okada's going to win this thing again. And that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But surprise, surprise, Jon Moxley and his double tooth. Oh, poor dude. Wrestling 2 matches with a busted up tooth. Ugh, yeah. Mox beats Okada and wins the Continental Championship. And Okada also had to give up that unified championship. If you remember right, they had the International Championship, Continental Championship match between Okada and Kenny Omega just a few months ago. And Okada won that match, but since he lost the Continental Championship, he had to also relinquish that unified championship, which I still don't get. I don't know. That one I think Tony messed up a little bit. There was no need to have to try and unify a title. And I just wish they'd treat the Continental Championship like what it really is, a once-a-year thing. Give them a giant trophy. Like they did back in the days with Shone Giant Baba. Always win those trophies in Japan and Antonio Inoki. But, oh well, it is what it is. But Jon Moxley, not only does he win, the Death Riders are in the ring with him, and he cuts a babyface promo. This is for all the guys that were in the tournament. This is for all of you that watch us and support us, and for everybody, all of us wrestlers that are busting our asses every night. What is going on here? And the crowd's eating it up, and as well they should. Look, people, as much as John has been one dastardly son of a gun over the past year and a half, 2 years, man, they cheered him on. You can say what you want about stuff in AEW, but you cannot, I think, disrespect Jon Moxley. I know a guy like Jim Cornette just hates him. He's a backyard indie wrestler. Look, there are very few people in this business, I think, that care about it as much as Jon Moxley does. And he loves AEW. And Lord knows that he could have a chance if he wanted to go back to WWE. And he's never going to do it. He's never going to do it. I'm going to call in. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Maybe they do a Shield reunion somewhere down the road years later. But John is just loving what's going on. He saw that things were kind of getting a little rough about a year and a half ago. And when he won the AEW World Championship, put it in a briefcase and said, nobody deserves this until we get things going. because the ratings were down. Just seemed like there was a malaise that had set in over there. And John said, we're not doing that. We're not doing it. And him winning the Continental Championship last night, whether it's as a baby face or as a heel, he's got the respect of the fans and well-deserved. So congratulations, John, but better watch your back. Because as we said, things kind of got set up in the Continental Classic. Claudio in the Death Riders beat John. Imagine that for a second, if you will. You blew a match after you had already beaten the leader of your group and a multiple-time AEW World Champion. Okay. And you've got to watch Moxley running around, the man you beat, with that title. That would put a bird in the saddle for me, I'll tell you what. Wouldn't be happy. Like, hey, yay. Job, John. We're all together. Yeah. We'll be fascinating to see what happens with the Death Riders after this. But, does Moxley maintain leadership or is Claudio turn? I think Claudio's going to turn. We'll find out. Main event, baby. 4-way match for the AEW World Championship. As if Samoa Joe didn't have enough troubles with the... Man, what do you call Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland? I don't know. It's not a bromance. I guess they're just kind of getting along, but they don't like each other. But they've earned respect through their feuding and all the crazy stuff they went through. So not only does Joe have to get through these two goofballs, but then a couple weeks ago, MJF came back from filming Violent Night 2. And whoop, there he is with his Casino Gauntlet contract and inserts himself into the picture. And some great promos. MJF with the burial 2 weeks ago, and then he got clobbered this last week. But MJF manages to get Hangman out of the way. Does a little semi-pile driver to Samoa Joe. And see ya. We've got a new AEW World Champion. Ironically, at World's End 2 years ago is when Samoa Joe ended MJF's reign as World Champion. It lasted over a year. And now Maxwell Jacob Friedman is back on top. Fascinating to see what's going to go on from here. Because we're not that far away from All In. Is it MJF and Ospreay? People are expecting that Will's going to be back. I mean, I can tell you that he does not want to miss All In 2026. I mean, there's no way. Even if he has to wear a neck brace to do it, but that's in London on August 30th. So there's still decent amount of time to play. See who wins the Owen Hart tournament. A lot of people think it will be Will. And if you remember, we had Double or Nothing. We had that match to determine who was going to go on to wrestle for a world as the number one contender between Ospreay and Hangman, and then they decided to go with Hangman. They hadn't made the decision on who the guy was going to be, and it turned out they kind of got lucky picking Hangman because of Will's neck problems. But you got to be looking forward a little bit with the possibility of MJF and Will Ospreay headlining All In. Oh, man. That's going to be fun. Where do the other guys go? Well, Joe has said he's pretty much ready to hang it up in about a year-ish. So we could be getting a retirement tour out of Samoa Joe. But, Joe's got to get his rematch for the title, and he and the Ops aren't just going to sit back and go, it's gone. That'd be fun. I wouldn't mind seeing a little flip-flop and going a little hot potato. Old school stuff there. Otherwise known as WWE booking right now. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I did. Keep Joe involved in this thing. Maybe get Joe involved in the main event at All In coming up in August. No one's going to complain about that. But brace yourselves, everybody. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is your new world champion. And he was actually tweeting some stuff out all week long. And I thought this was a very interesting post that he made, that he said there's only, in professional wrestling history, there's only 9 people that have won world championships twice under 30 years old. Here's your list. Lou Thez, Riki Dojan from Japan, Okada, Yokozuna, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, John Cena, and you put Maxwell Jacob Friedman's name on that list. Look, it was despite the little comments that MJF made towards yours truly, I think he's one of the best in the world. Look, he can hang with anybody. He's still very young. I mean, that guy's got a long way to go. The only trick that you've got with MJF is that he's becoming so popular as an actor. How long does he stay in pro wrestling? I mean, no offense, but if you're going to tell me that I can get myself beat up every week, or I can go out and act and probably make a lot more money, yeah, I think acting is the call. But he loves pro wrestling too much. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to go away. John Cena took time off, but he still loved it. And Max has that same love. You can say what you want about his personality, even though I've never gotten a chance to sit down and talk to the guy away from the ring. But a lot of people say he's a great guy. I hate to ruin that for you, MJF. Sorry. But he cares about this business like very few people do. And he has come into it with a ton of respect for the people who come before him and what they're trying to accomplish. Max is doing it, man. And you can't, you can't take this away from him now. And he is just going to continue to terrorize pro wrestling for a long time. Even when he's a babyface, he's still a heel. It's pretty funny. But MJF walks out of World's End with the AEW World title, and Lord have mercy on everybody in AEW. Yikes. Now that's funny. MJF gets a win in Chicago. No comment. So that's the wrap up of World's End. But man, there's going to be a lot of fallout from this. We're going to be talking about in the next hour of the direction that everybody is going to be headed here in AEW. And speaking of directions, by the way, if you're looking to book a hotel room, certainly appreciate if you check out the travelshark.com/Hoke show. Man, great rates on there. WrestleMania is coming, guys. You got to get those rooms booked. I heard a ridiculous story that Red Rock Casino, just out of the blue this last weekend, was charging almost $500 for a room. $500 one night. Do you want to pay that? I don't. Go to the travelshark.com/Hoke show. It's powered by Priceline. No mystery prices, no goofy stuff you've got to do. All you got to do is sign up. You're going to get the best rates, amazing discounts, the same stuff that you see on for employees pricing for these sites. And it's fantastic. Check it out today, the travelshark.com/Hoke show. All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, as we kind of mentioned a little bit last week because it was taped, we got a new U.S. champ in WWE. And a lot of moves being made over there. Stanford realized that John Cena's gone and might have to make some changes. I think so. Stick around, everybody. Best in Pro Wrestling right here on the Mark Hoke Show. We'll be right back.
Henderson, Summerlin, North Las Vegas, and surrounding areas. The countdown starts now.
FM KDAWN.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
I'm going to do that again. Oh! God, that brings back some memories. I was the king of the Hacksaw Jim Duggan yell. I almost beat Jim. I get people going with that thing. But we're very happy to have you joining us here on the Mark Hoke Show. It's the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on KDAWN, the Odyssey app, which, of course, you can go back and watch shows and check out all of our great shows on KDAWN, all of the shows in the Odyssey universe. 220 stations, man. It's a lot. So hop on in. Get that Odyssey app right now. Of course, we are streaming X, YouTube, Facebook, and YouTube, X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook and YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show. Come on in, say hi. I'm wondering about my comments section. It seems to be working okay, but it is what it is. Come on in, join us. Have a lot of fun. So, as kind of got spoiled a little bit because these shows were taped, WWE has a new United States champion. Carmelo Hayes, baby. Beats Ilya Dragunov. That show aired on Friday Night SmackDown this week. Great match. Melo didn't miss. About time. About time we did something with Melo. Love the Miz, and I've talked to him. He's a terrific guy. Wasn't open. Sorry. I guess it helped a little bit. But Carmelo has just been so up and down. And finally gets some gold. Hey, maybe we're finally going to have a black wrestler get a singles match on a pay-per-view at some point. Excuse me, premium live event. Even though you have to pay everywhere else. I mean, oh, geez. Don't get me started. Between the NFL and WWE, they've lost their damn minds. Come on, man. Stop killing us out here. But we have a new champ there. Javon Evans, Obafemi, and Trick Williams, it appears, are headed to the main rosters. Trick cut an interesting promo, of course. Trick did a great job in NXT and was the TNA World Champion for a little while. He and Trick, man. Javon and Trick. Carmelo and Trick. They know what to do. This is going to be fascinating to see what happens. And one thing, for those that, I mean, look, I'm not that big on, you have to have a African-American porn hero. Oh, you better have an Asian one. Oh, you better have somebody who's LGBT. That's a bunch of garbage. I just want the best pro wrestlers out there. But WWE does have a problem that it appears that they may be trying to solve. I mean, the Street Profits apparently are very upset. Their contract is up in a couple months, and from what we're hearing, they want out. Private parties over there in AEW, they won't maybe want out of AEW. We could get a trade. But there is an interesting perception with WWE that they are not treating their male black wrestlers very well. And that one stat about premium live event appearances for singles wrestlers doesn't help. Well, now you're injecting some, you're going to take a big gasoline can because you got 3 guys there. And now that you've finally given one of your best wrestlers a title that they should have had a while ago, instead of dancing them around, I mean, God, you could at least give them tag titles or something. Melo, Trick, Oba, Javon. That's not bad. And don't even tell me that Leon Slater isn't going to get raided from TNA the second that WWE can do it. He's history in TNA. His contract will come up. He will lose the X Division title, and he's going to be right alongside Javon. They make a great team. I'll throw that out. The question is, what are they going to do with them? See, I always like to think ahead when you look at the talent that you've got. You had the Vern Gagne rule of 8, that you really had just, 4 or 5 key wrestlers, or 8 key people, whether it's, it's a couple of tag teams and, few baby faces, few heels, and everybody else is kind of thrown into the mix. What do you do with Obafemi? I mean, you already debuted him against Cody Rhodes, for God's sake. You weren't screwing around with him. And I'm telling you, Oba is a talent. He is a monster. He has got a lot of the psychology, I think, and the facial expressions, and he just needs more experience. But he is amazing. Trick, that man get a crowd going. People don't like him. Javon just flies all over the place. But how is this all going to funnel out? Because you know what? At the top of the marquees, there's only the WWE champion and WWE world champion. I know there's 23 titles in WWE, but eventually, you've got to whittle this down. What are those 4 guys? Now Carmelo's already up there. So, that's good. But, I'm sure Carmelo's dream isn't to be the U.S. champion. And you've got Obafemi, who, man, if they wanted to put the rocket on him and say, go for it, no problem. This is going to be very interesting to see what happens with these 4 people. Very interesting. But those guys got the call. So we'll see how that all turns out. And let me just make sure I hit a couple of points here real quick before we head into hour number 2, because we're going to be really taking that look ahead at what's coming with WWE, AEW, TNA, and what's going to be a fascinating 2026. This industry continues to grow. It continues to shine. Like even MLW is out there making some noise. They got a little WWE money from that lawsuit. That didn't hurt. But they've got a ton of talent over there, too. They're starting to stockpile some people. Got Cross in there and some other ones. Hammerstone. I mean, there's some pretty powerful names over there, and they're only going to get better. How much fun is that going to be? Hopefully, we just won't have any goofy title changes, and we're going to have more news on that whole thing with Thea Hale and Blake Monroe. The fingers, look, when you point at somebody, there's a bunch of fingers pointed back at you. But, man, it's like the Spider-Man meme. It's just everywhere. Everybody's freaking out about that, and there's more news about that when we come out of the break and get into hour number 2. Also some pretty neat stuff going on. We're going to commentary changes again in WWE. There's reasons for it, but that's pretty bad. And who won and lost the most matches in WWE in 2025? I think the answer is going to surprise you a little bit. Both ways. It's pretty fascinating. Hour 2 of the Mark Hoke Show is coming up here on KDAWN 101.5 FM Talk of Las Vegas. Follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show. We're out there on some other ones too, and we'll be digging those a little more, hopefully, in 2026. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Thanks for joining us. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year coming up. We'll see you on the other side of the break for the best in pro wrestling on 101.5 FM KDAWN. Stick around. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
I'm not.
I'm not a journalist.
And a talk show host has opinions, and
I do have an opinion. I'm an opinion journalist. I don't hide and say I'm object. I'm not.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at noon on 1015 KDAWN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Good morning, Las Vegas. Back for hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN. 1015 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Man, World's End, great night last night. We're getting ready to head into 2026, which should be an incredible year. We're looking forward to seeing what happens in pro wrestling. This year and next year are going to be some pretty pivotal years for a lot of people, a lot of companies. Can't wait. But I got to get this guy in here. I didn't even know he was going to be able to make it because he's out coaching a basketball tournament with his super stud team. Let's get him in here and say hi right now. Coach Rosie, what's up?
Man, I haven't slept much. We beat the number 4 team in the country last night.
Yeah.
In a big tournament in Los Angeles. So I'm up. We got another workout today in a little bit, so I thought I'd pop in and say good morning.
Well, I'm very happy to have you here, sir. Thank you. And congratulations, man. So where's your team now in the rankings?
Well, we started the season at 9, and we lost one game and dropped into the 20s, but this game should pump us back up. But it's just nice to get the kids an opportunity to be seen and get recruited so they can make their hoop dreams come true.
There you go. Well, glad you're helping them out, Coach. That's pretty awesome. Well, since you're here, what'd you think of World's End? Did you get to, I don't know if you got to really watch too much, but I'm sure you saw everything that happened. What's standing out to you from last night?
What's standing out to me is why Moxley, but I'm about it. I'm thinking long term, and I'm happy MJF had it because that will definitely increase excitement for AEW. Yeah,
MJF is something else, and but he's not going to have a short list of challengers, that's for sure, Coach. I mean, I'm sure all 3 of those guys from the match last night are ready to go. Plus, so many other people out there have got to be coming after MJF. This is going to be a lot of fun. We were talking a little bit about, the road to headed to All In August, and it's still a long way away. And we're kind of expecting Ospreay to be a part of that main event scene, but it'll be interesting to see if Max hangs on to the title all the way to that. Do you think he will?
I think that would be the way that they would want it, because that would be England's greatest wrestler beating an American wrestler, and maybe have a SummerSlam kind of vibe to it when Davey Boy back in the 90s won at SummerSlam. So, I think that's what they want. I think that will fill Wembley, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Do you want to dance with Tony Storm, by the way?
Always.
That was something, wasn't it, Coach? I'll tell you, it's especially in AEW, there's a lot of serious stuff that happens in matches, but they know how to have a little fun too. And do you like seeing that kind of stuff in a match, or does it bother you when you?
No, I love Gaga. I love just weird things that you would never expect to happen in a wrestling match, because that's where the true memories come from. I mean, the wins and all that, but when you're talking podcasts or listening to podcasts or talking to your friends, you always talk about, remember when this and this happened, or Jimmy Snuka hit somebody with a coconut, and it's all those off the wall things that we tend to remember.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's interesting about it is WWE seems to kind of force those moments lately. They want to get the viral moment. But AEW just kind of lets everybody go out and cut loose and, let the videos fall where they may, if you know what I mean. It's just, they make moments in the match, I think, without really just kind of having to pigeonhole it in there to say, oh, we've got to do something to make this stand out so we get, can get 1 million views. It's a little more natural with AEW than it is with WWE.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes off really bad, which makes it even sometimes more fun because sometimes they're not planned out. With WWE, everything is scripted right down to the promo, every word, every match, every move. With AEW, sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't, but usually it creates some type of moment that people remember.
Yeah, what else stood out to you last night, Coach? Obviously MJF winning the world title is one thing, and Mox winning the Continental Classic. Who, by the way, looks like he's going babyface all of a sudden after that promo. Holy cow! But
yeah.
What else? What else did you like about or not like about the card last night?
I didn't like Takeshita not getting what he deserved, in my opinion. I thought Takeshita was the man to win that Continental Classic. I thought he had a lot of momentum going into the tournament, and to get screwdrivered by Okada just kind of brings back some of the other storylines that they've used in the past with the Callis family and didn't really advance his character. I really liked I watched the whole Darby Gabe Kidd match this morning, and I'm not really a hardcore fan, but I'm a big Gabe Kidd fan. So that match really stood out. It was hard hitting. It had some moments that reminded me of the Stone Cold Bret Hart match with that sharpshooter and the bloody face. So a lot of cool callbacks.
Yeah, just another great card by AEW last night. And we're going to see how this all leads us into 2026. But I do think having this card at this point in the year really gives AEW that little bit of extra momentum. I mean, even with the title change with Carmelo Hayes, winning the U.S. title, it still gets AEW on your mind as you head into next year. Obviously WWE is going to try and do something about that. They've got that big card on Monday Night Raw on January 5th. But, this is a good way to wrap up what was a nice comeback year for AEW.
Yeah, they definitely put things back together. John Alba has a really great interview. Not good, a great interview. I listened to all 2 hours of it with Tony Khan, and they were really recovering from 2024. This was a comeback year for AEW because the stories and the product that they gave us in 2024 was weak, and they had to give us something back to restore the love that we have for AEW. And this event, I'll watch it all the way through, but I can tell that this event was vintage AEW, gave the AEW sickos what they wanted to see, and started to create some storylines because there were some things that people did not expect in the way the Continental Classic ended. A lot of people thought it was too soon to give MJF the title back. And we saw that Athena's going to have a shot at Mercedes coming up, so that'll be a cool storyline. So there are some things down the road that are really exciting for AEW, including everybody coming back from injury. So they did a good job of pulling some guys up and making them stars and advancing storylines without having a drop in the program with some of your major stars being out.
Take away the corporate structure of WWE for a little bit, and let's just say you have a choice to run two promotions with the talent that you've got. Are you taking WWE's roster or are you taking AEW's roster right now? Which one would you, if someone said, Coach, it's yours, which one would you go with?
Fully healthy, I think I'd go with AEW because I prefer that their style of wrestling right now. I like the really great matches, and if they would be able to create some storylines, they'd really be dynamo. WWE has some great talent, a lot of older talent, a lot of guys that we've seen in the ring through many different storylines. So if I was to, with a clean slate, given which roster I'd want that AEW because I think I can create some new memories for people.
Yeah, and we were hyping about talking about the future of this next year and what everybody's going to be doing. And I think WWE's in a really tricky place because, like you said, their top guys are older, and now we've said goodbye to John Cena, who is really carrying them, I thought, through 2025. So now what? Now they pulled up Javon Evans apparently, and Obafemi and Trick Williams. We've seen all these crazy title changes. WWE's, I think, is in a real transition year, and we were mentioned last week about possibility of seeing Roman and Cody again. I don't know how much people are going to get into that, but this is going to be a weird year for WWE. They've got some serious decisions to make on who's on top.
Yeah, they do. And we'll see what direction they come, because it's going to come pretty quick with how they handle the Royal Rumble, how they handle Elimination Chamber, and then move on to WrestleMania. Because if they have another stinko like they had last year at WrestleMania, I think that will truly push away a lot of fans even more, not even considering the ticket prices, because I know people will pay the ticket prices if the storylines are great. And right now, the storylines are fair in WWE. They'll still be able to fill up the arena, the stadium there in Vegas. But if they have a terrible 2 nights like they had, or it wasn't terrible, they had some moments, but it wasn't what WrestleMania usually stands out to be, they'll be in trouble.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was driving by the stadium yesterday, and you still see on the side of the stadium where they're flipping the ads that, yeah, we've got the tickets are on sale, and I'm kind of sitting there saying to myself, wow, they're not sold out yet.
Yeah,
that's a little bit surprising to me. I know Vegas fans tend to buy a little late, plus it's the holidays, and the economy's just starting to recover, but I'm a little shocked that Allegiant still got seats, but they, it took a while to do it last year, and they're doing it again, where they're going to be piling them up, it looks like.
Yep. I think maybe we'll get a lowering of ticket prices coming up at WrestleMania.
Oh, that would be nice. Well, now with AEW, Coach, where do you think AEW's got to go from here? Because now we've got the talent's there. There's no question about it. Everybody's kind of regrouped. What does AEW have to do to maybe take another step forward in your eyes?
Well, I think they started last night by not being so formulaic. I think they gave us an opportunity to see that they're willing to take a chance on creating some storylines, because everyone always says AEW is just the matches and aren't really great stories. So if they can, Tony can either write some great stories himself or reach out to some people that are really good at that, that will really be the chef's kiss, because they already have great matches, but there's not really a great build-up to the match that a lot of older wrestling fans are looking for. And the older wrestling fans tend to be the ones that spend the money.
Yeah, very true. And we also look ahead to TNA a little bit. And they obviously coming up with the new TV deal on AMC, a big step forward for them. And they also continue their little alliance with WWE. What a huge year this is going to be for TNA. Is in just a few weeks, they're going to be debuting on AMC and really trying to put a stamp on the TNA brand. What, man, there's a lot to look forward to in TNA, but they better be ready to play ball, Coach.
Yeah, but I think if they just continue to gradually grow, I don't think that they are overly consumed about becoming number one or number two, but just being able to have their product now on a mainstream streaming program that's on every television, in every hotel, and every cable outlet, and every streaming. This gives them at least an opportunity to step up to the plate, and I think that's all they want. They have some money now with that deal to be able to sign some new talent, to sign some guys long term, and I think that is what they're going to need, because they'll be fine being number three. I don't see them getting up to one or two, but in this world of professional wrestling, there's still a lot of money being number three.
Well, one thing that I still do question, Coach, with TNA is, while the alliance with WWE gets some people from WWE into TNA programming for temporarily, it really, to me, still sets the stage for WWE rating TNA's talent. And I wonder how the deal is going to work out down the road. Now, and WWE apparently helped them get the TV deal. So, they're trying to keep their fingers in the pot there. But man, this is going to be an interesting decision for TNA maybe in a year or two. Do we keep this going? Do we step out on our own and say, well, thanks WWE, we appreciate it, but no thanks? Because man, they've got to protect themselves a little bit. They really do. I just think that they're turning themselves into just another WWE farm team.
Well, you never know. Sinclair was trying to get this deal to sell it down the road. We don't know that. We don't know what their contracts are going to hold now. Now the TNA has some money to put some real teeth behind their contracts. They have a lot of older talent, TNA, especially up at the top at some of their main guys. So if they do not have the opportunity to bring in some younger talent, they will suffer. And the WWE has done it before to other companies, swallowed them up. Sometimes it works for that talent, and sometimes that talent just kind of goes by the wayside. I think TNA and WWE has kind of a working relationship where WWE will not bury TNA because there's just too many working pieces that they need to be able to work off of each other to benefit each other.
Do you think that TNA did this deal partially because of that fact that they don't want WWE to push them out of business? So they figured, well, maybe instead of fighting them, let's join them and, keep what they say, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Yeah, that could be as well. There's a lot of things that go on in wrestling that we're not really privy to. There's a lot of politics behind it all, as we know. So, whatever happens with TNA, I love TNA, and I've been a TNA fan forever. So I'm really hoping that the new AMC deal gives them the rocket fuel to propel them to getting back to where they used to be.
Yeah, it's going to be so interesting to see if they decide to keep the WWE thing going. I'll say this: now that you slept with the crazy mistress, like in Fatal Attraction, she wouldn't be too happy if you broke up with her. So there's gonna be some fun stuff going on with TNA in a little bit. We're gonna take a break, and we got Coach Rosie from adfreeshows.com join us as he continues his reign of terror over the basketball world out there in LA, keeping it going. And we got a whole lot more. Man, there's a lot of crazy little news going on, including something with Andrade that, it doesn't seem like much, but I want to get into this a little bit. We'll be right back.
At Sam & Ash Injury Law, we know every injury case is personal and every client matters. We care, we help, you win. It's that simple. That's why we've won over $500 million for our clients. So if you've been injured in a crash, call Sam & Ash, 702-303-0333, or visit samandashlaw.com. Sam & Ash, because you deserve what's right.
Welcome to Yoga for Beginners, where we say yes to less stress and no to auto loan payments.
What? Say yes to less stress with One Nevada Credit Union's 90-day no pay. Finance your new or used car with us, or move your current auto loan
FM KDAWN.
This is the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Yeah, that's me, little old Mark Hoke. Well, not so little, but we'll work on that. After this move, I think I lost about 10 pounds, for God's sake. Ugh. Moving sucks, Coach. It sucks hard.
Yep. I haven't done it in 20 years.
God bless you for that. Yeah, I hadn't done it in 10. It wasn't enjoyable. Before I get into some of this WWE stuff I've been hyping up, a couple of little things from AEW's World's End last night that I wanted to hit you with. Adam Cole did a little prediction piece at the start of the show, and Tony was asked about Adam's status, and he's saying, look, we're not going to jeopardize Adam's health. We're going to make sure he's okay. But it looks like they're going to try and integrate him, and I have a feeling that they think there's hope that Adam Cole is eventually going to recover from all this concussion stuff and get back. Did you get that sense last night?
Well, I didn't see it, but I know the competitor that Adam Cole is. He's come back from many injuries, and the male ego is pretty strong to always want to make that recovery and show that you got what it takes to be a star in whatever field you're in. So I can see it being plausible. There has been so many people that have come back from the concussion injury, like Edge and a couple other guys, Christian, that he's just keeping his options open, and he's still got a job and he's still making a paycheck. So that's the most important thing. Hopefully the health will take care of itself, but if he makes it back to the ring, that'll be a heck of a story.
It would be unbelievable. So we want to wish Adam Cole all the best. The other thing that I wanted to bounce off you was, there was a confrontation last night. We've been starting to see these tiny little pieces with Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir, the married couple. And, we talked about in the last hour a little bit that we're not doing the hubby wife team. We're kind of doing the hubby wife. What you doing? And getting a little shot in here and there. And Marina kicked them last night. Coach, do you think there should be a match with Roderick Strong and Marina Shafir, or is that not necessary?
Not necessary. I don't think we want to promote. First of all, I'm not into intergender matches because I don't like to see men hit women. But especially to take it as far as a married couple going at it, to me that just takes it a little too far. Fair
enough. I'm curious to see if they're going to do it though. It's laying out there for sure. So just wanted to bounce that one off you a little bit real quick. Now, I saw a couple of interesting tweets. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to say this. Had that list of world champions twice under 30. I left Shinsuke Nakamura off that list, so just don't want to forget about Shinsuke. But a tweeter, Roman Era Zero, posted this, and I thought this was fascinating, that he listed the top wrestlers in WWE had the most wins and the ones that had the most losses. And I don't know if you saw this, Coach, but I wanted to see what you thought about this list. I'm going to do the wins first. Who do you think it is? I'll give you a chance. I hate name games, but give me a guess. Who do you think won the most matches in WWE last year?
I'm going to go with...
This isn't easy.
No, because I think it would be a middle of the card guy. I don't think it would be a main guy because they don't have as many matches. Dang. Let's. All right.
She won a lot of matches.
Oh, okay. She. See, I wasn't even thinking in the she category. So let's go. Laya Valkyrie.
You were close. Is Stephanie McCare won 42 matches last year, followed by and this one I was surprised that he won this many matches, followed by LA Knight at 39, Jey Uso at 36, Penta at 35, and then your Lyra Valkyria and Ivar tied at 29. Are you surprised when you hear those six names?
Not now that I hear him, because I knew it wouldn't be. I mean, Jey Uso could be considered a top guy because he was a champion this year, but none of them are at the Cody Drew McIntyre status. There's guys that get a lot of matches on TV and win a lot of matches, but the LA Knight one, I've seen him take so many L's recently in some big matches. I wouldn't have had him in that category just based on that.
Yeah. So that's an interesting list. And then we turn around to the other side, the losers. You want to take a shot at the biggest loser of 2025? I'll give you this hint. Also a female.
Also a female.
This one shocked me too when I saw it.
I'll take a female. Let's go Chelsea Green.
Nope. And the top three are all in this, actually, and part of the top four are all in the same group. Roxanne Perez took 43 losses this year. Raquel Rodriguez was second at 29. Finn Balor at 28. Dominic Mysterio tied Kofi Kingston, Nia Jax, and Solo Sikoa at 27. So the Judgment Day was biting the bullet this year, dude. I mean, that's amazing when you think about that.
Yeah, because they're supposed to be a dominant team. They were dominant 2 or 3 years ago. They had multiple belts, even last year. So maybe they are becoming more of a comedic show. A lot of people thought Roxanne was going to really be propelled, but obviously that's not the case. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, and you just, we've been seeing hints with like Liv and Raquel having some issues here on Raw and SmackDown lately, but it's fascinating to see the Judgment Day just getting, even though they did have the world tag titles and they've had belts in there, and Dominic is the Intercontinental Champion. He's taken all those losses, and you got to wonder what's going to happen to the Judgment Day here, especially with Liv coming back. But another name that I was, when there was Solo Sikoa, that he was taking all these losses, but I guess that was the bloodline fallout.
Yep. He was the male name that was bouncing around in my head to pick, but once you said woman, I went with Laura.
Yeah. So who are you looking forward to having a big year in WWE, Coach? Are there a few people that are going to they're standing out to you right now that say, you know what, I think that they're going to have a massive year in WWE?
Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
Because now he's put that mouthpiece to work. He was always decent on the mic, but now he's really taken that ultimate heel, dominant, you're worthless to me kind of persona. And it's kind of fun to watch how he's interacting with other guys, how he's, cussing on television. He called John Cena the B word. All that stuff you wouldn't have imagined coming out of Gunther's mouth. But now he's that win's given him the confidence and the ego to really share what he truly feels about the WWE universe.
Did you hear what he did at the WWE staff Christmas party, by the way? Did you hear about this?
No, tell me.
Lash Legend reported that Gunther gave coal to all the kids at the WWE staff Christmas party. Coal. What a heel move.
Love it.
That's great. Yeah, I think he's going to have a bigger. Which champ does he knock off though? Because I'm sure he's going to be a world champion again at some point. Does he get Punk? Is it Cody or
it's Punk?
That'll be fun. That'll be fun. See those guys duking it out again. But yeah, I think Gunther is poised for a huge year. One guy that I'm really curious about, because now he's getting a 3 stages of hell match with Cody Rhodes, is Drew McIntyre, who has just been the absolute workhorse, but just keeps losing these big matches. Man, are we finally at some point this year gonna turn Drew loose? Or, maybe they're going to turn him loose before the Rumble, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, nobody deserves it in WWE because it's all just written by the pencil. But he's someone that deserves it. He's really advanced a lot of storylines these last couple years, being that heel. Now he might not have to be that heel anymore now that Gunther's kind of taken that spot. So they might either rewrite his character, make him a baby face again and give him a run, or just make him even more diabolical and maybe have him latch on to one of those smaller titles like the Intercontinental title or the U.S. strap.
I just feel like at some point, even if it's a short reign, I think he should beat Cody. I really do. And you look back at what he did. He carried the company during the pandemic when they had to wrestle without crowds. I mean, and had a great match with Brock Lesnar to win the world championship at WrestleMania that one year. I just feel like it would benefit Drew and WWE to give him, like I said, even if it's a short one, like if they pulled something now and, leading close to WrestleMania, and give him a little bit of a shot on top. I think that would be a good thing.
I do too. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, this story is picking up a little bit of traction, but I think there's a bigger story behind it. And that is that Andrade, if you didn't see this, everybody, he has been released from his WWE no-compete clause. Apparently, he was talking to Roosh. Roosh hooked him up with an attorney, like I was saying that he should have done the minute this happened. And the attorney got his no-compete clause thrown out. So Andrade is going to be able to wrestle again in AEW. But I think there's a bigger piece to the puzzle than this, Coach, because you and I both coach, so we both know that positions like that, they're independent contractors. And with this getting thrown out and maybe challenging this independent contractor status for WWE for performers, and obviously that would go through the rest of the industry. How big of a story is this, Coach, that Andrade got out of this 1-year no-compete clause by just a phone call to WWE from an attorney? And could this change the hiring status of professional wrestling?
He's going to be the Curt Flood of professional wrestling. And for those of you guys that don't know who Curt Flood is, he's the one that sued Major League Baseball to get the free agency rule put into effect. It was totally out of the blue. But if only one phone call will take it to beat WWE with all their lawyers and all their money, their contract must not be very strong. So congratulations. I thought Andrade was going to be a part of last night. I thought he was going to be part of in the Okada Takeshita match, because that first night he came, he pledged his allegiance to the Don Callis family, and I thought he was going to be the one to take out one of the two guys. So he'll be in AEW soon. He's booked in another couple matches coming up either in Mexico or in Los Angeles or in other places. So I'm happy for Andrade. His body looks great. I know that he's been battling some of his demons. He went through that divorce. So his mind might be clear right now, and he might be ready for the next shot in the arm to give him what he needs, because he's a great talent.
Yeah, I am going to be very curious to see if someone decides to try to jump on this. And it would take a lot of courage for someone to challenge the independent contractor status that in any of these companies. But that, Coach, I had said this repeatedly, that no compete clause, there was no way that would hold up in court. There's no way. There's not a chance you can tell somebody that they can't compete work in their chosen profession for a year. Right. A year. I mean, the 90-day compete clause is the non-compete clause is, shaky to me as is.
Yeah.
And to see Andrade beat this like that, I gotta tell you, Coach, if I were back there, I'd be thinking about, do you make a move? Because it would completely change the wrestling industry. There's no doubt about it.
maybe Roosh just found his calling in the legal field is to be the guy that changes the business of professional wrestling by making it more talent centered than company centered.
Yeah, I am very intrigued to see where that fallout's going to happen. Some interesting names are coming up in contract stuff too, and one of them coaches Danhausen. And for those that may not be as familiar with Danhausen, he kind of plays this vampiric kind of character and curses people, and he's mostly been a comedy act over the years. And he's been in AEW, shattered his leg and has been out for a really long time. But his contract's coming up in February. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but apparently WWE has some interest in signing Danhausen. And I'm just kind of looking at that and saying to myself, where is Danhausen going to fit in WWE? No offense to Danhausen. He's a good wrestler, but that match does not seem like one made in heaven. What do you think, Coach? Should WWE go after Danhausen?
Doesn't I don't see it fitting, but they're pretty good at what they do. I don't know what they would do with him or who they would put him with. He just doesn't seem like part of that WWE machine. But if the guy can sign with WWE, go ahead and make your dreams come true. I think he's more of a indie-centric wrestler because you can get in and out in one night and really create an experience for fans without having the storyline with his character. So either way, he's going to be successful. If he's all healed up, he'll have plenty of work.
And buying a scoop in the chat box, and hope you had a great Christmas scoop and you're ready for the new year. And here's buying Scoop's point. Danhausen is a merch machine.
Yeah,
that is a very good point. Put him next to Mr. Iguana.
Oh,
there you have the Iguana Danhausen team.
Yeah, he can do some kind of like Coco character, like that movie with the folklorico dancers. He can paint his face that way, and they can take over AAA.
There you go. Also, Anna Jay is one whose contract's coming up in AEW. And, Coach, do you think WWE is going to have interest in Anna Jay?
Yeah.
She's improved, but they're kind of loaded on the women's side right now. And I just read a story last week, by the way, that WWE said that they're not really doing any hiring right now. Should Anna Jay just stay in AEW, or do you think she should try to test the waters with WWE?
I would say test the waters. I mean, what's AEW giving her? Nothing. I don't even see her on Ring of Honor. And she would be someone that fits that WWE machine. She's beautiful. She's physically well endowed in the right areas that WWE fans tend to check out. And, she's someone that needs some polishing, that with that NXT. Everyone that's gone from AEW to NXT has really blossomed through the training center and through the performance center, and all the stuff that they learned there. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, if she likes to just collect a paycheck being in AEW, not really doing much, well, then stay there. But I think WWE would put her to work.
And last thing before I know you got to get out of here, and we got to go to break too, but more finger pointing in this Blake Monroe Thea Hale match. Now people are saying the referee should have checked on Blake, and Blake should have kicked out, and should have been able to move, and Thea didn't give her a chance to recover from the senton bomb that she hit her with. Coach, isn't it time to just let this go? I mean, everybody had a part. To me, everybody had a part in this. The referee could have maybe done some things. Blake could have done some things. Thea definitely could have done some things to avoid that outcome of Blake accidentally losing the North American Championship. Are we done with this yet?
I mean, isn't NXT supposed to be developmental? I mean, these kind of hiccups are going to happen when you have younger talent that are developing and perfecting their craft. Now, if this happened in a Cody match or in a big WWE match, then yeah, keep talking about it. but out of sight, out of mind. Tuesday nights will be better when she wins her title back, but no one in the WWE universe is going to lose sleep over the North American Women's NXT title.
Yeah, so we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, it was everybody was just passing the blame, and it's just like, okay, it's done. Let's move on. Well, Coach, I know you got to get out of here.
Yep.
Real quick, ad-free shows.
Yeah, we're just getting ready for our big Royal Rumble weekend over in Atlanta for training camp. We're going to be putting on a fantasy camp for 3 days where we're going to watch the Rumble. We're going to take some bumps. We're going to be trained by some real legends. And with it being in Atlanta, I can see a definite WCW theme to it.
I'm going to come out and dress as Glacier.
I was hoping you'd be dressed up as the Disco Inferno.
Oh, no, Glenn lives here. He'd kill me. All right, Coach, I got to let you roll. So good luck in your tournament. Go win that thing, brother.
I'll try.
All right, Coach Rosie from Ad Free Shows joined us here on the Mark Hoke Show as he is getting the job done out in California. Hey, the comments everybody's coming back. Thank you. I appreciate it. Keep them coming. Join in that chat box at Mark Hoke Show on X and Facebook, YouTube, The Mark Hoke Show. We got a little bit more coming at you when we return, and we'll get to those comments and a whole lot more. Some more news coming up. Stick around. Final segment. We'll come back.
See you guys.
Hey, Chuck, I love the fact that I can find out how much I qualify for at Dollar Loan Center before I need a loan.
Let's say you don't quite need a loan today, but you do every so often, and you really just want to find out how much you qualify for and how it works.
Exactly.
We do this every day at Dollar Loan Center, and the customers really dig it. We offer this free of charge. We process your application, let you know how much you qualify for, and then you're ready to go if you do need a loan down the line. And all of this takes less than an hour.
Brilliant. DLC lends up to $5,000 in minutes, and you can get your cash in person at one of our 70 locations, on our website, don'tbebroke.com, or even over the phone with one of our helpful, real staff members. You're going to love Dollar Loan Center.
Licensed by Nevada Financial Institutions Division. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
COVID-19 has cast a spotlight on the stark inequalities that drive poverty. The poorest communities in the U.S. and around the world are suffering the most.
KDAWN.
You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Mark Hoke Show. It always helps you to turn the microphones on. That way people can hear you. And don't forget, betonline.ag. You can bet on pro wrestling and a whole lot of other stuff. I'm looking at the list. Boxing, Aussie rules, football, table tennis, snooker. And, of course, your normal sports, football, basketball. A lot going on. Check it out, betonline.ag. All you got to do is go to markhokeshow.com, click on the banner, and when you sign up, you can get a 50% signing bonus with the code BOL1000. It's BOL1000. Match you 50% up to $1,000. So if you put in $1,000, you get $500 back. It's pretty cool. So head on over there. And they've got the odds up for the Raw on Netflix championship matches. Fascinating right now. CM Punk is only a minus 300 to Braun Breaker's plus 200. They're hedging it a little bit. They think there might be a slight chance of a title change on that. And the Kabuki Warriors are plus 300 against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Oh, I'm sorry. They are the dogs. Pardon me. Kabuki Warriors plus 300. That shifted. And Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, the favorites at minus 500. So check it out. BetOnline.ag and bet on wrestling. Yeah. Let's see. I got the comment from TubeMan316. TK is in Tony Khan. Better enjoy his SI awards. AEW will have a tough 26 because of the WBD bidding war. I don't think it's going to be that bad, TubeMan. The TV stations are safe because Discovery is part of owns the TV side, which is TBS and TNT. What will be interesting is the streaming deal. But like I've said a little while ago, man, if it does end up that Netflix gets it, that, they're going to be on Netflix for a couple of years. So that works out okay. But Paramount is apparently there's people trying to really break that deal up, including one guy who's putting up $40 billion. I mean, this is really the future of media is at stake here to a point. If Netflix does get this deal to go through, that they take over Warner Brothers, they probably become the biggest entertainment entity on the planet. So kind of part of the reason Paramount wants to stop them, because if Paramount gets it, it doesn't quite have that much impact, but it's right up there. It'd probably make Paramount the number 2 behind Disney. So pretty interesting stuff there. But I think Tony's okay right now. He's not sweating it. He just had a really nice pay-per-view last night. So good for him. Someone else making money, by the way, The Rock. You want to hear some numbers? Get this. The Rock has made $80 million since joining TKO as a director over the past 2 years, not including merch sales, WrestleMania pay, or live appearance fees. Dude made $80 million for signing a piece of paper and screwing things up. I'm sorry, for giving his input. So nice work if you can get it. Way to go, Dwayne. Sometimes I don't like what Dwayne does, but you got to give the man credit. He is a hell of a businessman. Whoo! $80 million. You got to be kidding me. Daly's Place, the home of AEW, or at least the kind of the stomping grounds. Well, Tony's not going to be able to do any shows there for a while. They are doing some renovations for the next few years. So the original home of AEW is going to be under wraps. And he'll just keep doing shows at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Seems to work out okay for him. And that's another thing for AEW too, is we were talking about the future of these companies for 2026. Does Tony start moving back up and doing some more larger venues again? It'll be some interesting choices for Tony on that. How much do you go overseas? Sold 10,000 tickets over in Manchester. No problem. They love AEW over there. Too bad by the chat box comment about The Rock, by the way, says, why did The Rock didn't have creative control? Just ask Vince Russo. Yeah. I like Tube Man. He's all right. Just a run through. Oh, did you see what happened to AJ Styles, by the way? Fan came up to him with an AEW World Championship belt and asked him to sign it. I had an awkward signing like that once, but not quite that awkward. AJ did a shout out saying how much he loved the Jacksons, but he wasn't signing the belt. Probably a good decision on AJ's part. Oh my God, that was crazy. And Backlash, by the way, headed back to Puerto Rico. So one of the most successful backlashes of all time will go to a site where, Nick Khan can charge a boatload of money for it. So have fun in Puerto Rico for Backlash 2026 coming up. So good job pulling that one off. And that was a fun site. Very lively crowd. I'm sure it's going to happen again. They'll be pretty fired up down there for that. And guys, that's going to do it for us. And want to take a second to wish everyone a very happy New Year coming up. Hope you had a terrific Christmas. And it should be a pretty wild year. A lot of things going on personally in my life, especially the last 6 months, just been nuts. And looking forward to really getting back to focusing on some things. And, health is better and so on. Just moved to over Christmas holiday. What a blast. But I want to thank all of you for your support, whether you're listening to us on KDAWN, the Odyssey app, or you've been on the live stream. Love every one of you. Thank you so much. Guys, we will see you in 2026 for the next edition of the Mark Hoke Show here, Sundays, 8 to 10 a.m. on KDAWN. Hope you have a great day, Las Vegas. Enjoy yourselves. Some great football coming up over the next week, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one, Las Vegas. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.